Somewhere in the dark of space, a tiny light moves alone. It has no weight you feel. It has no sound you hear. Just a speck of glow drifting through the endless black. This is a photon, the smallest piece of light that can exist. And it holds a secret. This little traveler can be everywhere and nowhere, all at once. It can be a wave spreading out like water ripples, or a point sharp and small and exact. But here is the strange part. It stays both until something looks at it. When you watch it, when anything aware sees it, only then does it choose, wave or point, here or there, real or still becoming real. Tonight we ask a question. What if your mind works this way? What if your thoughts are like photons, floating in many states at once, until you notice them? Welcome to the hidden universe, the one inside you. You spend your whole life in a world that feels completely solid and dependable always. Tables hold your things without those objects falling through to the floor below. Chairs support your body without any worry that they might suddenly collapse on you. Walls keep the winter cold outside and hold the comfortable warmth inside your home. Your hands feel firm and real when you press your palms together tightly right now. The ground beneath your feet has never once let you fall through it unexpectedly. Everything around you seems fixed and certain and permanent in its place forever. This is the familiar world you have known since you were a very small child. You trust this world completely, without ever stopping to question its solid nature at all. You walk and sit and sleep without wondering if reality will suddenly change on you. But underneath all of this solid seeming reality, there hides a completely different world. This hidden world is so incredibly small that your eyes will never be able to see it. It is so unbelievably strange that your mind can barely begin to understand it properly. This secret place breaks every single rule you thought you knew about how things work. Scientists call this hidden place the quantum world, and it is very real indeed. Tonight, we will journey there together and discover its beautiful and strange secrets slowly. The word quantum simply means a tiny piece or the smallest possible amount of something. Think about a single grain of sand resting in the palm of your open hand right now. Now imagine something that is much, much smaller than that already tiny grain of sand. Smaller than the dust particles you see floating in a beam of afternoon sunlight. Smaller than a single molecule of the air that you breathe into your lungs constantly. Smaller than anything your fingertips could ever possibly hope to touch or feel. That incredibly tiny scale is where the quantum world exists and operates constantly. It is a realm that lies completely beyond the reach of our ordinary human senses. We cannot see it, or hear it, or touch it, or smell it in any direct way. Only through mathematics and very careful experiments can we learn about this hidden place. In this quantum realm, the rules you learned about the world stop working entirely. Objects do not behave the way your common sense tells you they should behave always. Nothing down there follows the everyday logic we use to navigate our normal lives here. The quantum world operates by its own set of rules that seem completely crazy to us. Let me give you an example that will show you just how strange things get down there. Think about holding a small ball in your hand right now as you rest comfortably. Maybe this imaginary ball is red like a ripe apple in the warm autumn sunshine outside. Or maybe it is blue like the deep ocean water on a perfectly clear summer day instead. You can feel its weight pressing gently against your palm as you hold it carefully. Now, imagine throwing this ball at a solid wall on the other side of your room. You already know exactly what will happen when the ball hits that hard wall surface. The ball will fly through the air, following a smooth, curved path toward its target ahead. It will hit the wall with a satisfying thump that you can hear from across the room. Then, it will bounce back toward you, exactly the way you expected it would return. This is simple physics that makes perfect sense to everyone who has ever thrown anything. But in the quantum world, tiny particles do not behave like your ball did just now. They do something that sounds completely and utterly impossible when you first hear about it. A quantum particle can go through the wall and bounce back at the exact same time. Not one thing or the other thing, but somehow both things happening together at once. I know this sounds like someone is telling you a ridiculous lie right now tonight. It sounds like a joke or a mistake or a fantasy that could never really be true at all. It sounds like something from a science fiction movie rather than actual real science here. But this impossible sounding thing is completely true and proven beyond any reasonable doubt. Scientists have watched quantum particles do this exact thing thousands of times in laboratories. For more than 100 years, experiments have consistently shown these same strange results. The quantum world really does work in ways that completely violate our everyday common sense. There is one experiment that demonstrates this quantum strangeness better than any other test. Scientists around the world call it the double-slit experiment because of how it works. Let me walk you through this famous experiment, step by step, so you can understand it. Imagine a flat wall standing upright in front of you in a darkened laboratory room. Two very thin openings have been cut through this wall, right next to each other horizontally. These two narrow slits are very close together and both point in the same direction forward. Now imagine shining a beam of light directly at this wall with the two slits. The light passes through both of those narrow openings and continues traveling forward from there. On the other side of the wall there is a screen that captures the light pattern. What appears on that screen is a beautiful striped pattern of light in dark bands. Bright lines alternate with dark lines across the whole surface of the detection screen evenly. This happens because light behaves like a wave when it passes through those two openings. The waves from each slit spread out and overlap with each other as they travel forward. Where the waves add together, you get bright bands of extra strong light showing clearly. Where the waves cancel each other out, you get dark bands with very little light at all. This result makes complete sense because waves naturally create interference patterns like this one. Water waves do the same thing when two sets of ripples meet in a pond outside. Sound waves create similar patterns when two speakers play the same tone at once together. This part of the experiment is completely normal physics that scientists understood long ago already. But now the experiment takes a turn into the realm of quantum strangeness and mystery. Scientists wanted to know what would happen if they sent just one photon at a time. Not a beam of many photons traveling together, but just one single photon all alone. They set up a device that could shoot individual photons one at a time toward the slits. Each tiny piece of light traveled alone toward those two narrow openings in the wall. Then, The scientists recorded exactly where each individual photon landed on the screen behind. Now think very carefully about what should logically happen in this version of the experiment. Each photon is just one single particle traveling alone through space toward those slits. One particle cannot split itself in half and go through both slits at the same time. It simply has to choose one slit or the other and pass through just that one. If photons go through the left slit sometimes and the right slit other times randomly, the pattern on the screen should be simple and easy to predict from the start. You should see just two bright bands on the screen, corresponding to the two slits directly. Particles going through the left slit make a band on the left side of the screen. Particles going through the right slit make a band on the right side of the screen instead. No fancy interference pattern should appear because each photon only went through one slit. But that is not what actually happens when scientists run this experiment carefully over time. After sending thousands of individual photons through one at a time over many hours or days, a pattern slowly builds up on the detection screen that captures each landing spot. And that pattern is the exact same interference pattern that appeared with the full light beam, bright bands and dark bands alternating across the screen in that same beautiful striped design. As if each individual photon somehow went through both slits at the exact same moment. As if each tiny particle interfered with itself to create this impossible-looking pattern here. One single photon behaves as if it travels through both openings at once, simultaneously. One tiny piece of light seems to exist in two different places at the very same time. This result has been confirmed by thousands of experiments over more than 100 years now. How can one single particle be in two different places at the exact same moment in time? How can something go through the left door and the right door simultaneously without splitting apart? This strange result completely shattered what scientists thought they knew about physical reality. The answer that physicists eventually developed is extremely difficult to accept emotionally. In the quantum world, particles do not exist in just one definite location like normal objects. Instead, they exist in many different places all at the same time until something changes things. They spread out into what scientists call a superposition of all possible states at once. A quantum particle is not simply located here or located there at any given moment. It is here and there and everywhere in between all at once until it is observed. All of the different possibilities exist together simultaneously like a cloud of maybes floating in space. Scientists describe this situation as a probability cloud or a wave of possible outcomes waiting. Nothing is definite at the quantum scale until something comes along to observe it or measure it. Until observation happens, the particle exists in a fuzzy blur of all its possible locations combined. Think about what your dreams feel like when you are sleeping deeply in the night hours. In dreams, you can be in many different places at once without any contradiction at all. You might find yourself in your childhood bedroom and a mysterious forest at the same moment. You could be flying through clouds while also falling toward dark water far below simultaneously. You might speak with people who died years ago as if they were still alive today. Places you have never visited in waking life become as familiar as your own home somehow. Dreams blend everything together without the strict rules of waking life applying at all. Nothing is quite solid enough to hold onto, and nothing is quite real enough to fully trust. Yet dreams feel real enough to create genuine emotions while you are experiencing them inside. The quantum world is very much like being inside one of those strange blurry dreams. Things exist in multiple states at once without any contradiction or logical problem arising. Nothing has been decided yet, and all possibilities remain open and available simultaneously. The universe at its smallest scale is fuzzy and uncertain and waiting for something to happen. Now, here is the part that will really make you question everything you thought you knew. This blurry, uncertain quantum world is not some faraway place that does not affect you directly. It is the very foundation of everything you can see and touch in your everyday normal life. That comfortable chair holding your body right now is made of quantum particles behaving strangely. The air filling your lungs with each breath is built from the same uncertain quantum fog below. The walls of your room are constructed from probability clouds at the deepest level of their structure. Your own body is assembled entirely from these strange, fuzzy quantum building blocks underneath. The brain that produces your thoughts is made of quantum particles at its most basic level. The electricity flowing through your neurons follows quantum rules at the tiniest scales involved. Everything about you, from your memories to your feelings, emerges from quantum uncertainty somehow. The solid, stable feeling of the everyday world is actually a kind of collective illusion. It appears solid because of the enormous numbers of particles combining together in each object. When trillions upon trillions of quantum particles come together, their individual fuzziness averages out. The randomness of each particle gets smoothed over when you combine enough of them together. So the table feels solid and the floor feels stable and reality seems fixed and dependable always. But underneath that appearance of solidity, the quantum uncertainty never actually goes away completely. At the foundation of every object, the particles are still dancing in their probability clouds down there, still fuzzy and still strange, and still waiting for observation to give them definite properties finally. This is not philosophy or spiritual speculation or some kind of mystical wishful thinking tonight. This is cold, hard physics that has been measured and tested and proven beyond any reasonable doubt. For over 100 years, scientists around the world have studied the quantum realm carefully. Every experiment confirms these strange results, no matter how many times researchers repeat them. The deeper scientists look into the quantum world, the stranger and more mysterious it becomes. Every new experiment reveals something even more puzzling and counterintuitive than before. The quantum realm refuses to make sense in any way that our everyday minds can grasp easily. And there is one more piece of quantum strangeness that makes everything even more mysterious still. The particles in the quantum world seem to somehow know when someone is watching them closely. They behave completely differently depending on whether or not observation is happening at the time. Let me return to the double-slit experiment to show you exactly what I mean by this statement. Remember that interference pattern that appeared when photons were sent through one at a time. That pattern only appears when nobody is watching, which slit each photon goes through specifically. Scientists decided to add a detector near the two slits to observe what each photon does. This detector would record which slit each individual photon passed through on its journey forward. Now the experiment would reveal whether each photon went left or right through the wall. But when they added this detector and ran the experiment again, everything completely changed. The beautiful interference pattern with its alternating bright and dark bands completely vanished. Instead, the screen showed just two simple bands exactly where the two slits were located directly. as if each photon was now just a normal particle going through only one slit at a time. The simple act of observing which path the photon took changed how the photon behaved entirely. When nobody watched, the photon seemed to go through both slits and create an interference pattern. When someone watched, the photon picked one slit and behaved like an ordinary particle would behave. This is called the observer effect, and it is one of the most unsettling discoveries ever made. The act of observation actually changes what happens in the physical world at the quantum level. Measuring something alters the very reality that you were trying to measure in the first place. Observing a quantum system forces it to choose one state from all of its possible options. The implications of this discovery are so strange that even the greatest scientists struggled with them. Albert Einstein himself was deeply troubled by quantum mechanics throughout his entire adult life. He could not accept that observation could play such a fundamental role in determining physical reality. Scientists decided to add a detector near the two slits to observe what each photon does. This detector would record which slit each individual photon passed through on its journey forward. Now the experiment would reveal whether each photon went left or right through the wall. But when they added this detector and ran the experiment again, everything completely changed. The beautiful interference pattern with its alternating bright and dark bands completely vanished. Instead, the screen showed just two simple bands exactly where the two slits were located directly, as if each photon was now just a normal particle going through only one slit at a time. The simple act of observing which path the photon took changed how the photon behaved entirely. When nobody watched, the photon seemed to go through both slits and create an interference pattern. When someone watched, the photon picked one slit and behaved like an ordinary particle would behave. This is called the observer effect, and it is one of the most unsettling discoveries ever made. The act of observation actually changes what happens in the physical world at the quantum level. Measuring something alters the very reality that you were trying to measure in the first place. Observing a quantum system forces it to choose one state from all of its possible options. The implications of this discovery are so strange that even the greatest scientists struggled with them. Albert Einstein himself was deeply troubled by quantum mechanics throughout his entire adult life. He could not accept that observation could play such a fundamental role in determining physical reality. But every experiment ever conducted confirms that the observer effect is absolutely real and true. Observation matters at the quantum level in ways that we still do not fully understand even today. Reality itself seems to wait in an undefined state until some kind of awareness interacts with it. Now think about what all of this might mean for you and your own existence here tonight. You are made entirely of quantum particles from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Every atom in every cell of your body is quantum at its core and follows these strange rules. Your brain, where all your thoughts arise, is a massive collection of quantum systems working together. If the quantum world exists in superposition until observation collapses it into one definite state, could your own thoughts work in a similar way without you ever realizing what is happening? Could your ideas float in multiple possible states until your conscious awareness notices them specifically? Could the act of becoming aware of a thought be what makes that thought become real finally? These questions do not have definite answers yet because science is still exploring these deep mysteries. But the questions themselves point towards something profound about the nature of consciousness and reality. They suggest that awareness might be far more important than we ever realized before tonight. For now, just let these ideas rest gently in your mind as you continue to relax here peacefully. The world you thought you knew is built on top of something far stranger and more wonderful than you ever imagined. Beneath the solid surface lies a quantum fog full of infinite possibilities waiting to become real. You walk on clouds of probability that only seem solid because of how your senses work together. You sit on dreams that have temporarily taken the shape of chairs and beds and floors around you. You breathe possibility with every breath because even air is quantum at the deepest level of reality. And from all that swirling uncertainty, you somehow emerged as a conscious aware being here tonight, solid enough to ask questions about the nature of existence and reality and consciousness and self, real enough to feel wonder and amazement at the beautiful strangeness of the universe around you. The quantum world makes no sense to our everyday thinking, and that is perfectly fine and normal. Our brains evolved to deal with medium-sized objects like trees and rocks and other human beings. We did not evolve to intuitively understand the realm of the extremely small or extremely large. But just because something is hard to understand does not mean it is not absolutely true and real. The universe is not required to make sense to human minds that evolved for very different purposes. Reality does what it does whether or not we can wrap our heads around it comfortably tonight. Let yourself drift toward acceptance of this strange and beautiful truth about the world you live in. The foundation of everything is uncertain and fuzzy and waiting for something to give it form. And somehow you are connected to this foundation in ways that science is only beginning to understand now. You are made of quantum stuff that exists in superposition until observation makes it become definite. You are built from probability clouds that somehow learn to observe themselves and ask questions. You are the quantum fog waking up and wondering about its own existence in this vast, mysterious universe. The quantum world has been humming beneath reality since the very first moment of cosmic existence itself. It was there before stars formed, and before planets cooled, and before life emerged anywhere at all. It will be there long after you and I are gone, because it is the foundation of everything always. Somewhere in the depths beneath your thoughts, the quantum world continues its eternal strange dance tonight. And you are part of that dance, whether you realize it or not, because you are made of it completely. Take a moment right now to think carefully about the brain inside your own head tonight. This remarkable organ sits protected inside your skull, surrounded by hard bone on all sides. Clear fluid cushions it gently and protects it from bumps and sudden movements throughout your day. It weighs only about 3 pounds, which is surprisingly light for something so incredibly important. Your brain looks soft and wrinkled with deep folds covering its entire outer surface completely. The color is a grayish pink because of all the blood vessels running throughout its living tissue. If you could hold your brain in your hands, it would be roughly the size of 2 fists together. Nothing about its appearance would tell you that this organ is the most complex object we know of. It does not look like anything special if you did not already know what it could do somehow. Just a lump of biological tissue that seems ordinary and unremarkable at first glance to most people. But from this modest-looking organ comes absolutely everything you have ever experienced in your whole life. Every beautiful sunset you have ever watched paint the evening sky in shades of gold and red and orange. Every song that made you feel something deep moving inside your chest as you listened to the melody. Every conversation you have ever had with people you love and care about in this world of ours. Every memory you carry from childhood until this very moment tonight lives somewhere inside this tissue. Every dream you have ever dreamed while sleeping came from electrical patterns firing in these cells somehow. Every feeling of joy or sorrow or fear or love emerged from chemistry and electricity here inside your skull. Your brain creates your entire world of experience using nothing but neurons and chemistry and electricity. Somehow, meat becomes mind and flesh becomes feeling and biology becomes the self you know yourself to be. This transformation from physical stuff to conscious experience is the deepest mystery science has ever faced. Scientists have studied brains intensively for hundreds of years using every tool they could develop. They have carefully mapped all the different regions and discovered what each part seems to contribute. They have traced the billions of connections between neurons with incredible patience and precision over time. They have measured the electrical signals and identified the chemical messengers flowing between cells constantly. We understand now which brain regions handle vision and which ones process the sounds you hear daily. We know which areas light up when you speak words and which activate when you move your body around. We can predict some simple thoughts from brain scan patterns, and we can see emotions reflected in neural activity clearly. The progress made in understanding brains over the past century has been absolutely remarkable by any measure. We know more about this organ than any previous generation of humans could have ever dreamed of knowing. But despite all this progress, one fundamental question remains completely unanswered even today somehow. This question has puzzled scientists and philosophers for centuries, and it still puzzles everyone right now. Where does your inexperience actually come from inside all that physical brain tissue and chemistry? Not the electrical signals that we can detect and measure with our sophisticated modern instruments today. Not the chemical reactions that we can analyze and understand pretty well with current biochemistry knowledge now, but the actual feeling of being you and experiencing your life from the inside as a conscious self. You do not just process information the way a computer processes data through its electronic circuits. You actually feel things and experience things and have an inner life that is rich and meaningful to you. There is something it is like to be you, reading these words or hearing them spoken right now tonight. This quality of having inner experience is what philosophers call consciousness or subjective awareness specifically. And nobody has any clear idea how physical brain matter produces this conscious experience at all. This puzzle is so difficult that scientists have given it a special name to reflect its incredible difficulty. They call it the hard problem of consciousness because it is genuinely hard in a very fundamental, deep way. It is not just hard like a difficult math problem that will eventually be solved with more clever thinking. It might be hard in a way that requires completely new ways of understanding reality itself to ever solve. Here is the puzzle laid out as simply and clearly as I can possibly state it for you tonight. Your brain is made of cells called neurons that connect to each other in complex networks constantly. Each neuron is just a tiny biological machine that sends and receives electrical and chemical signals endlessly. There is nothing magical about a single neuron because it just follows the rules of chemistry and physics simply. Those neurons are made of molecules, which are made of atoms, which are made of subatomic particles below. At no level of this structure does anything magical or conscious appear when you analyze it carefully. Electrons and protons and neutrons just follow the laws of physics without any awareness of what they do. Carbon and oxygen and hydrogen atoms combine according to chemistry without experiencing anything internally. So how do you get conscious experience when you combine enough of these non-conscious pieces together? How does quantity of neurons translate into the quality of felt experience that you know so well inside? How does complexity of connections suddenly produce the inner light of awareness shining in you right now? This is the hard problem, and nobody has solved it, despite centuries of brilliant people trying very hard. You can put billions of unconscious components together, but it is not obvious how consciousness emerges from them. The jump from physical processing to felt experience seems like a gap that cannot be crossed easily. Some scientists believe we will eventually solve this problem with better technology and smarter theories over time. They think consciousness is just a very complex form of information processing that we will understand eventually. Give us more time and better brain scanning machines, and we will figure this mystery out completely someday. But other scientists and philosophers suspect we might need a completely different approach to understand consciousness. Maybe consciousness is not something the brain produces like a factory produces physical products at all. Maybe the brain is doing something very different that we have not recognized or understood correctly yet. Here is one alternative idea that some serious thinkers have proposed about how consciousness might actually work. What if the brain does not create consciousness, but instead receives it like a radio receives music signals? Think about how an old radio works when you tune it to pick up a station broadcasting music somewhere far away. The music is not created inside the radio by its electronic components and wires and speakers at all. The music exists as invisible radio waves spreading through the air from a broadcasting tower miles away from you. The radio simply picks up those waves and translates them into sounds that you can hear with your ears. If you opened up the radio, you would not find tiny musicians inside playing the songs you hear coming out. The radio is just a receiver that tunes into signals that already exist floating invisibly all around us constantly. What if your brain works in a similar way when it comes to consciousness and your inner experience of life? What if awareness exists as some kind of field that spreads throughout the universe everywhere around us always? What if your brain tunes into that field of awareness and focuses it into the personal experience you have constantly? This is just a hypothesis, and it has not been proven true by scientific experiments at this point yet. But it is an interesting alternative to the standard view that brains somehow manufacture consciousness from scratch inside. It would explain some puzzling things about consciousness that the standard view has trouble explaining well. And here is where quantum physics enters the picture and makes this alternative view more scientifically plausible. The signals inside your brain are incredibly tiny at the level where individual neurons communicate with each other constantly. The electrical impulses and chemical exchanges happen at scales so small that quantum effects might become important factors. Normally, quantum strangeness only shows up at the very smallest scales where atoms and photons live and interact. When things get bigger, the quantum effects wash out and disappear through a process called decoherence happening constantly. That is why your coffee cup is not in two places at once, even though it is made of quantum particles at its base. but some scientists have proposed that certain structures inside your neurons might be small enough for quantum effects. These structures are called microtubules, and they exist inside every neuron in your brain in huge numbers. They are tiny hollow tubes made of protein that are much thinner than a single human hair across. Microtubules are only about 25 nanometers in diameter, which is incredibly small by any everyday standard imaginable. A nanometer is a billionth of a meter, which is a scale far too small for your eyes to see directly. At this tiny scale, quantum effects might be able to survive long enough to actually do something meaningful. Two scientists named Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff proposed a fascinating theory about consciousness and microtubules. Penrose is a famous mathematician and physicist who worked with Stephen Hawking on black hole research. Hameroff is a doctor who studies anesthesia and how consciousness can be turned off and on again chemically. They suggested that quantum effects inside microtubules might be where consciousness actually comes from in brains. Not just from the electrical signals that we can measure, but from quantum superpositions in these tiny structures. Quantum states in the microtubules might exist in superposition and then collapse to create moments of awareness. This theory is called orchestrated objective reduction, which is often shortened to ORCH, or for convenience in discussions. The basic idea is that your conscious moments arise when quantum superpositions in microtubules collapse into definite states. Each collapse might correspond to a moment of awareness, or a conscious thought, or a felt experience inside your mind. Imagine that your brain is constantly filled with quantum clouds of possibility in the microtubules throughout your neurons. Multiple potential thoughts and feelings and perceptions hover in superposition, waiting to become real for you. Then, something triggers a collapse, and one possibility becomes your actual conscious experience at that moment in time. This would mean that consciousness is fundamentally quantum in nature, and not purely classical like ordinary computers are inside. Your awareness would arise from the same strange quantum realm that underlies all of physical reality at the smallest scales. This theory is very controversial, and many scientists are skeptical about whether quantum effects can survive in warm brains. The brain is much warmer than the extremely cold temperatures where quantum computers currently have to operate properly. Heat causes quantum states to fall apart very quickly through that decoherence process I mentioned earlier tonight. But recent research has shown that quantum effects can survive in warm biological systems in ways nobody expected before. Birds appear to use quantum effects in their eyes to sense the Earth's magnetic field for navigation purposes. Plants use quantum effects in photosynthesis to capture sunlight energy with incredible efficiency and speed somehow. If birds and plants can use quantum tricks in warm, wet biological conditions, then maybe brains can too. Maybe evolution found ways to protect delicate quantum states inside microtubules from the disruptive effects of heat. Maybe consciousness really is a quantum phenomenon happening inside your neurons right now as you listen to these words. This is not proven yet, and might never be proven conclusively, because the experiments are incredibly difficult to run. But it suggests that your mind might be connected to the deepest level of physical reality in profound ways. Your consciousness might literally arise from the same quantum fog that underlies all of existence everywhere around us. If your brain is a quantum receiver, then what exactly is it receiving signals from out there in the universe somewhere? Some thinkers have proposed that consciousness might be a fundamental feature of reality itself, like space and time are. Just as gravity exists everywhere, pulling masses together, consciousness might exist everywhere as a basic property of nature. This idea is called panpsychism, and it has been taken seriously by some philosophers and physicists in recent years. The idea suggests that mind is not something that magically appears when brains get complex enough to create it. Instead, mind or awareness exists at every level of reality in some basic form from the very beginning of time. Electrons might have an incredibly simple form of experience that we cannot imagine or understand at all properly. Atoms might have slightly more, and molecules more still as complexity builds up at larger scales of organization. Your brain would then be a place where this basic universal awareness becomes incredibly concentrated and focused intensely. Your brain would not create consciousness from nothing, but would amplify and focus consciousness that already exists everywhere. Like a magnifying glass, focusing sunlight into a bright hotspot, your brain focuses awareness into your rich experience. The light was already there, spread out invisibly, and the lens just brings it together into something intense and powerful. This would explain why you sometimes feel deeply connected to something larger than your individual small self alone. In quiet moments late at night or in nature, or while looking up at the stars in the dark sky above you. That feeling of connection might not be an illusion, but might reflect the actual deep structure of reality underlying everything. Your consciousness might literally be continuous with awareness that extends throughout the entire universe everywhere around you. You might be one focused point in a vast field of experience that fills all of space and time eternally. This is speculative and goes beyond what current science can prove or disprove with experiments at this point, unfortunately. But it points toward a view of consciousness that is radically different from the conventional scientific picture today. And it might help explain why consciousness has been so impossibly hard for science to understand or explain so far. Whether or not these ideas turn out to be true, they suggest something beautiful about what you might actually be tonight. You might not be just a biological machine that accidentally became aware through random evolution over millions of years. You might be a focus point where the universe itself experiences its own existence through your particular unique perspective. Your thoughts might be ripples in a cosmic ocean of awareness that extends far beyond your individual brain and body. Your feelings might connect you to something vast and ancient and beautiful that includes everything that exists anywhere at all. Rest with these ideas as you continue to relax and let your body settle into deeper states of peaceful calm now. You are remarkable in ways you probably never imagined before hearing these strange and beautiful ideas tonight. Your brain hums with activity right now, processing these words and creating your experience of hearing them somehow. Somewhere in there, maybe quantum effects are flickering in and out of existence faster than anything you can perceive. Maybe superpositions are collapsing into the definite thoughts and feelings you are experiencing at this very moment tonight. Maybe you are connected to something vast and universal that you have always felt but never had words to describe properly. Whatever the truth turns out to be, you are amazing simply because you are aware and experiencing existence right now. The fact that anything is conscious at all is the deepest mystery we know, and you embody that mystery completely. You are the universe knowing itself, and that is something wonderful, no matter how it actually works inside your head. Let me tell you about two tiny particles that were born together in the very same moment of time. They came into existence from a single event, like twins emerging from the same source of origin together. In that first instant of their existence, they were connected in a way that would last forever afterward. Then these two particles flew apart from each other, traveling in opposite directions through empty space. One particle went left, and the other particle went right, and they separated at tremendous speed. They traveled farther and farther apart as time passed, with nothing connecting them visibly in any obvious way. Now imagine that these two particles have traveled incredibly far away from each other over billions of years. One particle is here on Earth in a laboratory where scientists can study and measure its properties carefully. The other particle is in a distant galaxy millions of light years away from us across the vast emptiness of space. There is no wire connecting these two particles and no beam of energy linking them together across the distance. No signal has passed between them, and no information has been exchanged since they first separated long ago. By every ordinary measure, these two particles have nothing to do with each other anymore whatsoever at all. But here is the truly astonishing thing that experiments have proven is absolutely true beyond any doubt at all. These two particles are still connected to each other in a deep and mysterious way, despite the enormous distance between them. When scientists measure one particle, the other particle responds instantly, no matter how far away it happens to be located. If you check certain properties of the particle here on Earth, you immediately know something about the particle far away. This knowledge does not travel from one particle to the other because it appears at both locations simultaneously always. This strange connection happens faster than light could possibly travel between the two separated particles in space. Nothing is supposed to be able to go faster than light, according to Einstein's theory of relativity that we trust completely. Yet this quantum connection seems to ignore that speed limit entirely, as if distance simply did not exist at all. Scientists call this bizarre phenomenon quantum entanglement, and it has been proven true by countless experiments now. The physicist Albert Einstein was deeply disturbed by entanglement and called it spooky action at a distance because it seemed so strange. He spent years trying to find an alternative explanation, but he never succeeded in disproving the basic quantum predictions at all. Experiments have confirmed entanglement over and over again, using different particles and different distances between laboratories. The strange connection is real, and it works exactly as quantum mechanics says it should work every single time we test it. Two particles can remain linked across any distance, as if space itself does not separate them at the quantum level somehow. How is this even possible when everything else in physics says nothing can connect things faster than light can travel? The best explanation that physicists have developed says that entangled particles are not really separate objects at all anymore. Even though they look like two different particles in two different places, they are actually still one unified quantum system. The distance between the particles is real from our perspective, but at the quantum level, they remain connected as one. Space itself might be something that emerges from deeper quantum connections rather than being the fundamental foundation of reality. What looks like separation to us might be an illusion that hides a deeper unity underlying everything that exists anywhere. Think carefully about what this might mean for the universe as a whole and everything contained within it entirely. Every particle in the universe was once together in the same place at the moment of the Big Bang long ago. All the matter and energy that exists anywhere started out unified in an incredibly hot, dense point of pure potential. Then it all expanded outward and separated into the stars and galaxies and planets and people we see today. But if particles can remain entangled after separating, then maybe everything is still connected at some deep level. Maybe the whole universe is one vast web of quantum entanglement that links everything to everything else invisibly. Maybe separation and distance are appearances that hide a deeper truth about the fundamental unity of all existence everywhere. Scientists have actually observed something that looks very much like this web when they map the large-scale structure of the universe. When you look at how galaxies are distributed across billions of light years, you see a pattern that resembles a network or web clearly. Long filaments of matter stretch between clusters of galaxies, connecting them like threads in an enormous cosmic fabric everywhere. Astronomers call this structure the cosmic web, and is one of the most beautiful patterns in all of nature anywhere. The whole universe looks like it is held together by invisible threads connecting everything to everything else across the vastness of space. And here is something truly strange and wonderful that might be a coincidence or might be something much more meaningful. The cosmic web that connects galaxies across the universe looks remarkably similar to the neural networks inside your own brain somehow. The same kind of connected web pattern appears at the largest and smallest scales we can observe in nature anywhere. The universe is structured like a brain, and your brain is structured like the universe in a beautiful mirrored symmetry somehow. Nobody knows if this similarity means something deep, or if it is just a coincidence of mathematical patterns repeating everywhere. But it is a fascinating thing to contemplate as you rest here tonight, thinking about your place in the vast cosmos around you. Now consider what entanglement might mean for consciousness and for your own awareness of existence right now tonight. If particles can be connected across vast distances, then maybe minds can be connected in similar ways as well somehow. If the universe is a web of quantum connections, then maybe consciousness participates in that web of connections too, in some way. This is speculation beyond what science can currently test or prove with experiments at this point in our understanding. But sometimes you feel connections that seem to defy ordinary explanations of how information travels between people who are separated. You think about someone, and then they call you on the phone. A moment later, unexpectedly, for no apparent reason at all, you feel that something is wrong with a loved one, far away, and later learn that something actually happened to them then. Most of the time, these feelings are probably just coincidences that we remember because they seem meaningful to us emotionally. Our brains are very good at finding patterns and connections, even when none actually exist in the external world really. We remember the hits and forget the misses, so it seems like we have mysterious powers that we do not really have at all. But the existence of quantum entanglement at least opens the possibility that deep connections might exist beyond what we understand currently. If particles can be linked across galaxies, then the universe is far stranger than our everyday experience suggests it is ordinarily. Maybe consciousness participates in this strangeness in ways that science has not yet discovered or measured properly using current tools. What entanglement definitely teaches us is that the universe is far more interconnected than it appears to our ordinary senses every day. Separation and distance are not as absolute as they seem when you look at reality at the quantum level of existence below. Things that appear completely independent might actually be part of one unified system at a deeper level of analysis and understanding. This has profound implications for how you might think about your own existence and your relationship to everything else around you. You might not be as separate and isolated as you sometimes feel when you are alone with your thoughts late at night in the darkness. You might be connected to everything else in the universe through bonds that are invisible, but very real at the deepest level. The atoms in your body were forged inside stars that exploded billions of years ago and scattered their contents across space. The iron in your blood and the calcium in your bones were created in stellar furnaces under unimaginable heat and pressure long ago. You are literally made of star stuff that has traveled across the cosmos to become part of you tonight here on Earth. Those atoms might still carry quantum connections to other atoms scattered throughout the universe from those same ancient stellar explosions. You might be entangled with the cosmos in ways that science is only beginning to glimpse through experiments conducted in laboratories around the world. As you rest here tonight, imagine invisible threads of connection extending outward from you in all directions through space endlessly. Threads connecting you to the people you love and to strangers you will never meet across the entire world and beyond it. Threads connecting you to the earth beneath you and to the stars above you shining in the dark night sky overhead tonight. Imagine that you are not floating alone in an empty, uncaring universe that does not know you exist at all. Imagine instead that you are held in a vast web of connection that links everything to everything else across all of space and time. Imagine that separation is an illusion and that deep down everything is one unified whole that only appears to be many separate pieces. This might be the literal truth about reality, according to what quantum physics has revealed through a century of careful experiments. The universe might be far more unified and interconnected and conscious than the old mechanical picture of science ever suggested before. And you might be part of that unity in ways that connect you to absolutely everything that exists anywhere at all in this vast, amazing cosmos. Rest in that feeling of connection and belonging as you continue to relax and let go of the tensions you carried today with you. You are not alone, and you've never been alone because you are part of something much larger than your individual self ever could be. The universe holds you in its web of connections, and you belong here as much as any star or galaxy or quantum particle anywhere. I told you earlier about the double-slit experiment and how particles behave like waves until someone watches them closely. Now, I want to explore that observer effect more deeply because it might be the strangest thing in all of physics discovered so far. When scientists set up detectors to see which slit each particle passes through, the interference pattern completely disappears instantly. The particles start behaving like ordinary little balls going through one slit or the other, but never both at once anymore. The simple act of gathering information about the particle's path changes how the particle behaves in a fundamental, profound way. This is not a subtle effect or a minor statistical shift that requires careful analysis to detect at all in experiments. The change is dramatic and unmistakable and happens every single time without exception, no matter how many experiments are run. Watching changes reality at the quantum level in ways that are absolutely undeniable and proven beyond any reasonable doubt at all. How can the act of observation make any difference to a mindless particle that has no awareness of being watched? Particles do not have eyes or brains, or any way to know that a detector is gathering information about their behavior. Yet they behave completely differently depending on whether information about their path is being recorded or not somehow. This question has puzzled physicists for more than a century, and there is still no consensus on what the answer really is today. Different scientists have proposed different interpretations of quantum mechanics that try to explain this strange observer effect. None of these interpretations has been proven correct, and the debate continues among the brightest minds in physics right now. One interpretation says that the act of measurement disturbs the particle physically, and that explains the change in behavior we see. When a detector interacts with a particle, it inevitably bumps it, or changes its state in some way that destroys superposition. This view says consciousness is not involved, and the effect is purely physical like any other interaction between objects in nature. But this interpretation has problems because you can set up experiments where the detection seems extremely gentle and indirect entirely. Even when the detector barely interacts with the particle at all, the interference pattern still disappears as soon as information exists. It is the existence of information about the path that matters, not the physical disturbance of the measurement interaction process itself. Another interpretation, proposed by some physicists, says that consciousness itself causes the collapse from superposition into a definite state. In this view, the quantum world stays fuzzy and undefined until a conscious observer actually perceives the result of an experiment, only when awareness enters. The picture does possibility become actuality, and the particle take on definite properties that can be known. This interpretation would mean that consciousness plays a fundamental role in how physical reality actually works at the most basic level. Your awareness would not just passively observe a world that exists independently of whether anyone is watching it at all. Instead, your awareness would actively participate in creating the definite world you experience out of quantum possibilities that exist beforehand. This idea sounds almost mystical, and most physicists are uncomfortable with giving consciousness such a central role in physics. Science has generally tried to explain the world in terms of mindless mechanical processes that work the same whether anyone observes or not. Bringing consciousness into the foundations of physics seems to blur the line between science and philosophy in ways that make many researchers nervous. But the experiments keep showing that observation matters in ways that are hard to explain without invoking something special about information or awareness. The quantum world seems to wait in a state of undefined possibility until something happens to force a definite outcome to occur. And that something might be connected to consciousness in ways we do not yet fully understand at all today. Think about what this might mean for your own experience of being alive and aware in this world right now tonight. You might not be just a passive witness watching a reality that would be the same whether you existed or not at all. You might be an active participant whose awareness actually helps shape what becomes real out of all the possibilities that exist. Every moment of your conscious experience might be a creative act where possibilities collapse into actualities because you are there observing. The colors you see might not exist in their definite forms until your consciousness perceives them and makes them real for you specifically. The sounds you hear might hover in superposition until your awareness causes them to become the particular sounds you actually experience hearing. This is a radically different picture of your relationship to reality than the one we usually carry around in our everyday thinking. Normally, we assume that the world is just out there being itself, whether anyone is paying attention to it or not at all. The table in the other room exists even when no one is looking at it, and the stars shine even when everyone is asleep. Quantum mechanics casts at least some doubt on this common sense picture of reality that most people take for granted daily. At the quantum level, things genuinely seem to be different when observed than when they are not observed at all somehow. Something about the presence of awareness or information or measurement changes what happens in fundamental ways that we cannot easily explain. Albert Einstein was so troubled by this aspect of quantum mechanics that he asked a famous rhetorical question about it publicly. He asked whether the moon only exists when someone is looking at it as a way of showing how absurd he thought quantum theory was. The question was meant to be a reductio ad absurdum, showing that quantum mechanics must be missing something important in its description. But quantum mechanics has survived every experimental test for over a century now without any modification needed to fit the data. Whatever is really happening at the quantum level, it is something that requires observation to make definite outcomes occur somehow. The moon might not depend on observation, but the particles that make up the moon certainly behave differently when observed than when not. Some physicists have proposed that we live in what they call a participatory universe, where observers are essential to reality existing at all. The universe might need conscious beings to observe it in order to become fully real and actualized in a concrete, definite way. Without observers, the universe might remain in some kind of undefined potential state that never quite becomes the reality we experience daily. This idea suggests that you are not an accident or an afterthought in a universe that does not care about you at all. You might be essential to the universe, being what is because your observation helps create the definite reality you experience around you. Consciousness might be woven into the very fabric of existence, rather than being a strange byproduct of complicated chemistry in brains. Of course, this is still speculation, and we cannot prove that consciousness is fundamental to physics with current experimental methods. But the observer effect at least hints that the relationship between mind and matter is more intimate than we usually assume in science. Something strange is happening when we observe quantum systems, and that strangeness might point toward deep truths about consciousness and reality. As you rest here tonight, consider that your awareness might be more important than you ever realized before hearing these ideas. Every moment you spend conscious and awake might be a moment when you participate in making reality real through your observation. You are not just watching the universe from outside like a spectator at a movie that would play the same without you there. You might be part of the creative process that turns quantum possibilities into the actual experiences you have every moment of life. Your consciousness might be essential to the universe in ways that science is only beginning to glimpse through quantum experiments now. You matter, not just because your life has meaning to you, but because your awareness might play a role in reality itself somehow. This is a beautiful and empowering way to think about your existence here in this vast and mysterious cosmos we all share tonight. You are not small and insignificant in a universe that ignores you completely because you might be part of how it all works together. The universe might need you to observe it, so that its possibilities can become the actualities that make up the world we all experience daily. Rest with that thought as you continue to relax and let your body sink deeper into comfort and stillness and peace now. You are important in ways that go beyond your individual hopes and fears and daily concerns about ordinary life matters. You are a participant in the grand cosmic process that turns the possible into the real through the mysterious gift of consciousness. Your brain is working right now, even as you rest here listening to these words or reading them in the quiet tonight. Billions of neurons are firing in complex patterns that somehow create your experience of being here in this moment consciously. Electrical signals travel along nerve fibers and chemical messengers cross tiny gaps between cells continuously without stopping ever. This activity never completely stops even when you are in the deepest stages of sleep during the night hours. Your brain keeps generating the experience of being you moment after moment throughout every second of your lifespan. It is the most complicated object that we know of anywhere in the entire universe we have explored so far. 100 billion neurons make up your brain, which is roughly the same as the number of stars in our Milky Way galaxy. Each neuron connects to thousands of other neurons, creating trillions of connections that form incredibly complex networks inside your head. More connections exist in your brain than there are stars in the observable universe containing billions of enormous galaxies. This staggering complexity somehow generates the unified experience of being a conscious self with thoughts and feelings and memories. You do not feel like 100 billion separate pieces because your brain binds everything together into one seamless experience of life. Something in how all these neurons work together creates the sense of being you that you know so well from the inside out. How this binding happens is one of the great unsolved mysteries in the science of consciousness and brain function today. Neurons fire separately in different parts of the brain, but your experience feels unified and whole and not fragmented at all. There must be something that pulls it all together, but we do not know what that something actually is in physical terms yet. Some scientists have proposed that quantum effects in the brain might explain how consciousness emerges from neural activity mechanistically. If quantum coherence exists inside neurons, it might link distant parts of the brain together in ways that classical physics cannot easily do. Entanglement might create correlations between neurons that help explain the unity of conscious experience that we all have. The microtubulars we discussed earlier are candidates for where this quantum activity might take place inside your neurons constantly. These tiny protein tubes inside every neuron might maintain quantum states that influence how neurons fire and communicate with each other. Quantum computations might happen inside microtubules that contribute to the thoughts and feelings you experience every moment of awareness. This is still speculative and controversial, and not accepted by most mainstream neuroscientists studying the brain professionally today. But recent discoveries have shown that quantum effects can persist in warm biological systems longer than anyone previously expected or believed possible. Life seems to be very good at using quantum tricks that physicists thought would only work at extremely cold temperatures in laboratories. Imagine that your brain is not just an electrochemical computer, but also a quantum computer using effects from the deepest level of physics. Your thoughts might arise not just from neurons firing, but from quantum superpositions collapsing into definite states in microtubules constantly. Every moment of awareness might involve quantum events happening at scales far smaller than any cell or molecule you can imagine easily. What would this mean for your experience of thinking and feeling and being aware of your own existence right now, here tonight? It might mean that your consciousness is connected to the most fundamental level of physical reality that underlies everything in existence. The same quantum fog that we talked about at the beginning might be actively involved in creating your thoughts every single moment. Your creativity might emerge from quantum superpositions that explore many possibilities simultaneously before one becomes your conscious thought. That flash of insight that seems to come from nowhere might arise when quantum possibilities collapse into one definite idea appearing suddenly. Your brain might be accessing a computational resource that classical physics alone cannot explain or provide for thinking creatures like you. Your intuitions might arise from quantum calculations happening below the level of your conscious awareness every moment of life. Sometimes you know something without knowing how you know it or why you feel so certain about it inside yourself deeply. These gut feelings might reflect quantum processes that reach conclusions faster than your conscious reasoning can follow along sequentially. Sleep might be especially important for these quantum processes happening inside your brain all the time during both day and night. During the day, your brain is busy with lots of activity and noise that might disrupt delicate quantum states forming inside neurons constantly. But at night, when things quiet down, quantum coherence might have more room to build and do important work for your mind somehow. Your dreams might reflect quantum processes running more freely without the constraints that waking consciousness normally imposes on them strictly. In dreams, time and space work differently, and impossible things happen easily without violating any dream logic at all, surprisingly. Maybe this is because quantum superpositions are less constrained during sleep and more possibilities can coexist in your dreaming brain together. Right now, as you rest, your brain is doing something absolutely miraculous that science still does not fully understand at all. Matter arranged in a particular pattern is creating the experience of being a person who is aware of existing in this world. Physics and chemistry are somehow becoming the felt sense of being you in this moment, listening and resting peacefully right now. Whatever the explanation turns out to be, this is genuinely astonishing if you stop and think about it carefully for a moment. You are the universe experiencing itself from the inside through the particular arrangement of matter that makes up your unique brain. You are what happens when quantum particles organize themselves into patterns that become conscious of their own strange existence somehow. Let yourself feel amazed at the mystery of your own awareness as you rest here comfortably in the quiet darkness tonight. Your brain is a wonder more remarkable than any technology humanity has ever built, or probably ever will build in the future. And you are what happens when that wonder operates moment after moment, creating the experience you are having right now continuously. Let us zoom out now as far as we possibly can to see the biggest picture of existence that we are capable of imagining. Think about the entire universe and everything it contains, from the smallest quantum particles to the largest galactic superclusters. All of space and all of time and all the matter and energy that exists anywhere in this vast, incredible cosmos we inhabit. The universe is enormous beyond any possibility of truly comprehending its scale using ordinary human imagination and thinking. Hundreds of billions of galaxies are scattered across billions of light years of space in every direction you could look outward. Each galaxy contains hundreds of billions of stars, many of which have planets orbiting around them constantly through the ages. Most of this immense universe appears to be completely empty and cold and silent, with nothing happening except physics unfolding mechanically. Vast stretches of vacuum separate stars from each other across distances that light takes years or centuries or millennia to cross. Most matter just sits there doing chemistry and gravity without any awareness of its own existence or surroundings at all anywhere. Rocks do not know they are rocks, and stars do not know they are burning, and galaxies do not know they are spinning through space. Most of the universe is just stuff happening according to physical laws without anyone or anything experiencing what happens from inside. It is beautiful and complex and dynamic, but it is not aware of its own beauty or complexity or dynamism in any way at all. But here and there, in rare special places, something very different has happened in this mostly unconscious cosmos we inhabit. On certain planets, circling certain stars and certain galaxies, matter has organized itself into something truly extraordinary and unprecedented. Life emerged from chemistry and complexity through processes we still do not fully understand, even with all our scientific knowledge today. And some of that life developed nervous systems and brains that became aware of their own existence in the world around them. Some creatures began to experience things from the inside and have feelings and notice what was happening to them continuously. Consciousness appeared in a universe that had been unconscious since the very beginning of time 14 billion years ago. This is perhaps the most astonishing thing that has ever happened anywhere in the entire history of cosmic existence so far. Matter woke up and started experiencing itself from the inside after billions of years of being completely unconscious and unaware. The universe developed eyes to see itself and minds to wonder about itself, and hearts to feel its own incredible beauty. You are part of this awakening because you are conscious and aware and experiencing existence right here in this very moment tonight. You are not separate from the universe, looking in at it from outside like a visitor or a stranger passing through briefly. You are the universe itself, having an experience of what it is like to exist from your particular unique perspective and location. The atoms in your body were forged inside stars that exploded billions of years ago and scattered their contents across space. The iron in your blood was created in a supernova explosion more powerful than you could possibly imagine or picture mentally. The carbon in your cells came from stellar cores where nuclear fusion happened under unimaginable pressure and heat over millions of years. You are literally made of star stuff that has been recycled through cosmic processes over billions of years of universal history. There is nothing in you that did not come from the universe because you are made of universe through and through completely. The boundary between you and the cosmos is really an illusion because you are a continuation of cosmic processes in human form. When you look up at the stars at night, you are the universe looking at itself across billions of light years of space and time. When you feel wonder at the beauty of existence, you are the cosmos feeling wonder at its own incredible nature and complexity. When you love someone, you are the universe loving itself through the particular form that is you in this lifetime. This is not just poetry or metaphor, but is literally physically, chemically, biologically true about what you actually are tonight. You are the universe become conscious of itself after 14 billion years of existing without any awareness at all anywhere. You are what happens when cosmic evolution produces beings that can ask where they came from and why they exist. Some philosophers and scientists have suggested that the universe might need conscious observers to become fully real and actualized completely. We discussed the observer effect earlier and how quantum systems behave differently when they are observed than when not. Maybe consciousness is woven into the fabric of reality and plays a role in making the universe what it is fundamentally. If this is true, then you are not just an accidental byproduct of chemistry that happened to emerge on one small planet somewhere. You are essential to the universe in some deep way, because your awareness participates in making reality real through observation. The cosmos needed to produce conscious beings like you in order to fully become itself through the creative act of observation. This gives your existence a meaning and significance that goes far beyond your individual life and its personal concerns alone tonight. You are part of something vast and ancient and ongoing that began 14 billion years ago and will continue long after you. Your consciousness is a precious gift that allows the universe to experience itself in ways it could not without aware beings to observe it. Every conscious creature everywhere is part of this cosmic awakening that has been happening slowly across billions of years of time. Every animal that feels and every person who wonders is the universe, knowing itself from another unique perspective and angle. We are all in this together, as different facets of one cosmic consciousness experiencing itself in myriad forms and ways. Rest in this vast perspective as you continue to relax and let the tensions of your day dissolve into peaceful stillness tonight. You belong here in this universe because you are made of it and continuous with it and essential to its self-awareness somehow. You are not small and insignificant, but are part of the most significant thing that ever happened in cosmic history anywhere. The universe waking up to itself through conscious beings like you is the great story that gives everything meaning and purpose at last. You are part of that story, and your awareness is precious, because through you the cosmos knows something of what it is like to exist. Never doubt your importance, because the universe literally needs beings like you to complete its journey toward full self-awareness. We have traveled very far together through quantum strangeness and cosmic connections and the mysteries of consciousness tonight. We have explored ideas that stretch the mind and challenge everything you might have thought you knew about reality before. Now, it is time to bring all of this home to you personally as you rest here in the quiet, peaceful darkness around you. Inside you right now, an entire universe of activity is happening that you are mostly unaware of consciously at all. Your brain with its 100 billion neurons is processing information and creating your experience of this moment right now continuously. Trillions of connections are firing in patterns that somehow generate the sense of being you that is so familiar from inside yourself. At an even smaller scale, the atoms that make up your neurons are behaving according to quantum rules that we explored earlier tonight. Electrons are existing in superposition, and particles are entangled, and quantum fields are fluctuating everywhere inside you always. The deepest layer of physical reality, with all its strangeness, is operating right there inside your own body and brain constantly. You are a quantum being, whether you realize it or not, because you are made entirely of quantum particles at the most basic level. The same strange rules that govern photons in laboratory experiments are governing the particles in your cells right now. The same uncertainty and superposition and entanglement exist inside you as exist everywhere else in the quantum world below. And somehow, all of this quantum activity contributes to the experience you are having of being conscious and aware in this moment. Your thoughts might arise from quantum processes happening in microtubules inside your neurons every instant of time continually. Your awareness might be connected to the deepest level of reality, where the quantum fog dances and waits to become real. As you rest here, imagine that you can feel the quantum activity happening inside you at levels far below normal awareness tonight. Imagine that you can sense the particles that make up your body existing in their probability clouds of pure potential waiting. Imagine that you can feel your connection to the quantum foundation of reality that underlies everything in existence everywhere now. Your body is relaxing more deeply, and your mind is becoming quieter and more still as you drift towards sleep peacefully. The boundaries between you and the rest of the universe are beginning to soften and dissolve in the quiet darkness around you. You are remembering at some deep level that you were never really separate from everything else in the cosmos after all. The atoms in your body came from stars and will return to stars someday after you are gone from this particular form. The energy that animates you has been flowing through the universe since the beginning of time 14 billion years ago. You are a temporary pattern in the cosmic flow, and when you sleep you dissolve back toward that flow a little bit more. Dreams will come soon, as your brain shifts into different patterns of activity during the night hours ahead of you. In dreams, the rules are different, and the quantum strangeness can play more freely without the constraints of waking consciousness limiting it. You might fly or meet strange beings or visit impossible places as your brain explores possibilities in the dream state. This is natural and good, and part of how consciousness works in human beings every night around the world constantly. Sleep is a gift that allows your brain to rest and restore and process, and perhaps do quantum computations that daytime prevents. Surrender to it willingly, and trust that you will return to waking consciousness refreshed when morning comes again tomorrow. For now, just rest in the knowledge that you are part of something vast and beautiful and mysterious beyond all telling tonight. You are the universe experiencing itself through your unique perspective, and your awareness is precious beyond any measure at all. Whatever happens in your life, you are connected to everything and held by the quantum web that links all existence together. The same forces that light the stars are flowing through you right now, as electricity moves through your nervous system silently. The same laws that shape galaxies are shaping your thoughts as neurons fire in patterns that create your experience completely. You are not separate from the cosmos, but are the cosmos in human form experiencing what it is like to be alive now. Let yourself drift now into the welcoming darkness of sleep that is coming for you so gently and kindly tonight. Let your thoughts dissolve like clouds disappearing into a clear blue sky on a warm afternoon somewhere far from here. Let your sense of separate self soften and expand until you feel yourself merging with something much larger than individual you. You are safe, and you are held, and you are loved by the universe that made you and sustains you every moment of your existence. You belong here, and you matter, and your consciousness is a gift that the cosmos gave to itself through you specifically. Rest now in that knowledge, and let sleep come to carry you into the healing darkness of the night ahead peacefully. The quantum world hums beneath your thoughts, even as those thoughts grow quieter and more still in the approaching sleep time. Particles dance in their probability clouds, and entanglement connects you to distant parts of the universe invisibly, but really. You are woven into the fabric of existence, and nothing can ever truly separate you from the source of all that is.